I've always been haunted by the idea of a face that doesn't age while the soul rots in secret. It's why Oscar Wilde's Dorian Gray isn't just fiction to me, it's a confession, a curse, and a murder wrapped in velvet. London's fog hid the same opium dens and crooked mirrors where Wilde watched his own portrait wither. Let me tell you what happened. There is a painting in a locked attic room, and it is not a painting anymore. It is a confession. The canvas is bloated and weeping, the face a mask of leprous decay, the hands crusted with what looks like dried blood. But the man who owns it, who keeps it hidden behind a rotting curtain, has skin like alabaster and eyes that have never known a single line of worry. He is young. He is perfect. And he is the most dangerous thing in London. To understand how Dorian Gray became a monster, you have to see him first as a boy. Picture a June afternoon in 1880s London, the air thick with the smell of horse manure and coal smoke, the cobblestones slick after a brief rain. Basil Hallward, a painter of serious talent and a heart far too soft for this world, is putting the finishing touches on a portrait. The light falls through the studio window, catching the dust motes, and it falls on the boy. Dorian Gray. He is 19, maybe 20. His lips are the color of wet roses. His hair is a gold that seems to glow. Basil is in love with him, but it is a pure, artistic love, the kind that worships beauty as a form of prayer. And into this church of art walks the devil in a silk cravat. Lord Henry Wotton. You can smell him before you see him. Sandalwood. Cigars. The faint, cloying sweetness of an expensive cologne designed to mask the rot beneath. He is a man who has never worked a day in his life, and he has turned his idleness into a philosophy. He speaks in aphorisms that cut like glass. He tells Dorian that youth is the only thing worth having. He tells him that beauty is a form of genius. And then he leans in close, his breath warm against the boy's ear, and whispers the sentence that will damn him. The day you lose your youth, he says, the world will have no use for you. Every wrinkle will be a betrayal. Every gray hair, a death sentence. Dorian looks at his own portrait, at the golden boy on the canvas, and a cold terror seizes his chest. He makes a wish. A foolish, childish wish. He wants the painting to grow old. He wants to stay forever as he is. And something in the universe, something ancient and hungry, hears him. The first sign is small. The next morning, Dorian wakes and checks the mirror. His face is smooth, unmarked. He laughs. He goes to the attic, to the old schoolroom where he has hidden the portrait, and he pulls back the cloth. There. At the corner of the painted mouth. A faint, cruel smirk that he did not put there. It is a smirk he saw on Lord Henry's face the night before, when Dorian broke the heart of a girl named Sybil Vane. Sybil was a poor actress, a girl who lived in a garret with her mother, a girl who loved Dorian with a ferocity that was almost embarrassing. She was not a great actress, but when she played Juliet, she became Juliet. And Dorian, for a few weeks, believed he was in love. Then he brought Lord Henry to the theatre. Lord Henry watched her stumble through her lines, and he smiled that thin, cruel smile. On the carriage ride home, Dorian told Sybil he never wanted to see her again. She was common. She was dull. He was bored. The next morning, the newspapers reported that Sybil Vane had swallowed prussic acid in her dressing room. She was 17 years old. And the portrait smirked. That was the moment Dorian Gray could have turned back. He could have burned the painting. He could have confessed. Instead, he covered it with a cloth and locked the door. He chose the lie. He chose the mask. The decades pass, but for Dorian, there are no decades. The 1890s arrive, and he is still 20. He moves through Victorian society like a ghost in a tailored suit. He attends every ball, every opera, every dinner party. The women want him. The men envy him. But there is a smell that follows him now. It is not cologne. It is the damp, metallic odor of secrets. He has become a connoisseur of the forbidden. He frequents opium dens in the East End, where the air is so thick with smoke you can taste the poppy on your tongue. He sits in corners, watching the shadows writhe on the walls, his hands steady, his eyes clear. He ruins reputations the way a child pulls wings off flies. He seduces the daughters of bankers, then laughs at them in gentlemen's clubs. He drives young men to bankruptcy and suicide. And each time, he goes home, climbs the stairs to the attic, and looks at the painting. It is no longer a portrait. It is a horror show. The face is bloated and yellow. The lips are cracked and bleeding. The hands are covered in what looks like lichen and filth. And the eyes. The eyes are no longer painted. They are alive. They watch him. They judge him. And Dorian feels nothing. He has lost the ability to feel. That is the true cost of the bargain. He did not sell his soul. He sold his capacity for guilt. Basil Hallward, the man who painted the damn thing, cannot stay silent any longer. He has heard the stories. He has seen the wreckage Dorian leaves behind. And one night, he comes to Dorian's house, his hands trembling, his face pale. He begs. He pleads. "Show me your soul," Basil says. "Let me see what you have become." Dorian smiles. He leads Basil up the stairs, through the dusty hall, to the attic door. He pulls back the curtain. And Basil sees what he made. He sees the beautiful boy he painted, now a leprous, grinning corpse on canvas. He sees the blood. He sees the sin. He turns to Dorian, and his face is not horror. It is pity. That is what breaks Dorian. Not the judgment. The pity. Basil whispers, "I will pray for you." And Dorian, in a blind, animal rage, picks up a knife from the table. A knife used for cutting canvases. A thin, sharp blade. He drives it into Basil's neck. The blood is hot and it sprays across the floor, across the rotting portrait. Basil falls. He makes a gurgling sound, like a child trying to breathe underwater. And then silence. Dorian stands there, breathing hard. He looks at the painting. The hands now have red streaks on them. Real blood, mixing with the painted filth. He looks at his own hands. Clean. Perfect. He has just murdered his only friend, and no one will ever know. He gets away with it. Of course he gets away with it. He blackmails a chemist to dissolve the body. He burns Basil's clothes. He goes to the opera that night and smiles at everyone. But the painting is not satisfied. It has grown hungrier. It no longer just reflects his sins. It seems to writhe, to breathe, to pulse with a life of its own. Dorian begins to wonder if the painting is not a record of his corruption, but the source of it. The thing in the attic is not just watching him. It is feeding. It is changing him. He tries to be good. He spares one girl, a country girl he might have ruined. He goes to the attic, hoping to see a sign of redemption. The painting is worse. It has grown a new leer, a new cruelty. He realizes, with a cold dread, that there is no redemption. The bargain was final. Every attempt at goodness only makes the portrait more monstrous, because the goodness itself is a vanity, a performance. He cannot be saved. He can only be forgotten. The end comes on a foggy night, just like the one Sybil Vane died on. Dorian is alone in his house. He looks at the portrait one last time. He sees the knife he used to kill Basil, still lying on the floor. He thinks, if I destroy the painting, I destroy the evidence. I destroy the past. He picks up the knife. He plunges it into the canvas. There is a scream. It is not a human scream. It is a sound like tearing silk and breaking bones, a sound that seems to come from the walls themselves. Servants rush up the stairs. They break down the door. And they find the painting, restored. The golden boy. The perfect face. Untouched. Pristine. And on the floor, crumpled in a heap, is an old man. He is withered. He is wrinkled. His skin is the color of old paper. And in his chest, there is a knife. The knife that killed Basil. The knife that killed the boy. They cannot identify the body. No one can. Because the face is so wrinkled, so decayed, it looks like it has been dead for a century. But the rings on the fingers. Those rings are Dorian Gray's. Oscar Wilde wrote this book in 1890, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He was not writing a fantasy. He was writing a confession. Wilde was a man who wore a mask of wit and charm, who hid his true nature behind epigrams and velvet suits. He was a man who, like Dorian, believed he could live a double life. He was married. He had children. And he loved men. In the Victorian world, that love was a crime. He was put on trial. He was sentenced to 2 years of hard labor. He was broken. He died in a cheap Paris hotel room at the age of 46, bankrupt, alone, his face lined in gray. He did not have a portrait to age for him. He had to bear every year, every humiliation, every scar himself. And when he wrote about Dorian Gray, he was writing about the price of pretending. The price of wearing a mask so long that it becomes your face. The portrait in the attic is not a magic painting. It is a mirror. And every one of us, if we look long enough, will see something in it we do not want to see. The question is not whether you would make the bargain. The question is whether you have already made it, and just have not looked at the canvas yet.